Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Hate to Interrupt podcast, the number one cinephile slash vampire hunter podcast in the world. It is I, Dracula from Nosferatu.
I'm Nick from Stop Culture.
I'm VHS guy Nick.
And I'm Gulif.
So today we're going to be talking about like our favorite movies of the year. We were going to have an episode that was we're going to talk about Nosferatu, but we were looking through our lists and it seems like a lot of us are a fan of it. So we'll just kind of talk about Nosferatu naturally as it comes along.
Yeah, I figured, we're at the end of the year, so we figured we'd talk about some things before, talk about some of our favorites, and maybe if we have some time, our least favorites. Because I don't know about you guys, but I see a lot of stinkers. At least I used to. I don't hate myself as much as I did at the beginning of the year, so I don't really seek out bad movies in theaters as much anymore, unless I know for sure. Like, I'm going to get a lot of fun and entertainment out of it. We already had this discussion last episode, but I remember when I was watching Venom Tokyo Drift that I thought to myself, damn, I wish I went to go see this in a theater because this is so funny. Not in the way that the movie intended, but I definitely would have had a blast watching it on the big screen.
I mean, I didn't make a worse list. If I did, Craven would definitely be at the top of my worst list. I don't know what else would be, but I mean, generally though, I feel like I don't know if you guys agree with this though. 2024 was kind of a bad year for movies. I don't know if that came in because of the proximity to both COVID and the writer's strike. It's like we're in a weird lull year, but it was kind of weak. I don't know if you guys
last year was fairly weak too. There was a couple like really good movies last year, but I feel like I had some trouble last year too.
Last year I liked more than this, but
yeah, I think there were more like shining stars last year that like are memorable.
Yeah, because I didn't even I didn't love Nosferatu that much. I would say I liked it a lot, but it's my number 2 movie of the year. So, which is doesn't really speak that highly about the year.
That says a lot about the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all right. It's like top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I hate everything. The amount of mid to bad movies it's kind of the same as it's always been. It's about what I expect.
I watched a lot of movies in theaters this year. I think I did go see bad movies, and I don't think I always expected them to be bad though.
I will say I think this year we've been truly blessed because we've been given not 1, not 2, but 3 Sony Spider-Man Cinematic Universe movies. Yeah, because we got Venom 3, we got Madam Web, and then we have Craven the Hunter. I think that is a trifecta of delicious garbage.
I think the worst movie I saw this year was probably, I think it was called Alive. It's like a Smart House movie with Harold from Harold and Kumar. And it was some of the worst shit I've ever seen. Was it a Blumhouse movie?
You said Smart House. That's not a thing. I think you mean Blumhouse.
No. The movie was about a smart house. The movie was
called Smart House, or about.
The movie was about a smart house.
Okay, sorry. I thought you called it. I thought you were saying the production name. I was like, Smart House. What the fuck is that?
Oh, I thought that was called AI.
It's called Afraid.
I thought it was called
Afraid.
It was called
and then the AI is like,
yeah.
It's very clever when you think about it.
That movie was so fucking bad.
Isn't it funny? They put the word AI in the word afraid. That's like fourth degree chess right there.
I really want people to like keep. I hate when movies and franchises stop putting the number in the words. I think they're cowards. Why didn't we get Vithrenum? What the fuck? Why didn't we get 5 Cream? Why didn't we get
Terrifier 3 with the E as
because Hollywood is run by a bunch of fucking pussies. That's the moral of the story. They're a bunch of cowards that just refuse to be honest with themselves.
Do you want to get to our? Oh, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just saying. I was looking at. So I keep a list of all the movies that I watch in a given year, and then I rank them on my letterbox. And I'm kind of going through some of the shit I've watched. Honest to God, I forgot I watched like half of this shit, and I didn't realize that I've given like 10 movies this year a 1 out of 10. I think that is that kind of goes to show the.
Can we all start doing that for the next year? Can we all make a
Give 1
list
out
in
of 10s.
Letterboxd and just
I've been doing
put all
that.
the movies we review into it?
I
Oh,
can,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think we can do that easy.
Gotta start a letterbox.
Yeah, I think
You
we
know
should
what
do
would be
that because
fun?
it'll be
So,
really fun.
spoiler alert for the future episodes. So I think we already discussed this at some point, but we're gonna start recommending shit in future episodes. It would be really fun if one of us like just keeps a track record of all the movies that we recommend, and then we make like a ranking of all the shit that we discuss on the podcast as part of like our recommendations and stuff. That would be really fun.
Yeah,
I'd
that
be
could be
into
fun.
that.
That could be something cool.
yeah.
Like if we set up a website at some point, and like have
Keep
like
track of everything.
yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah, back
Yeah.
to the worst movies thing. Maybe I'm just like I had a good year because I had a hard time coming up with my bottom 5 because I just all the worst ones on there. I guess like Craven was on there, but it was more like like it's not even like a really that bad. It's just kind of a mediocre pile of shit. I don't know.
I will
I
say
feel like I don't see a lot of very bad movies.
There just weren't
I
very
don't
many
go out of
high
my way to
peaks
watch
this year.
stuff.
Is my biggest problem. It wasn't like that I saw
I-
everything I saw was terrible. It's just I was just like ugh, whatever about everything, which is even worse, kind of.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think I had the benefit to see some things.
Yeah, you
when
had
I
a
was
lot
at
on your list, Tim.
Yeah, some of these were just but not by choice. But most of them I just got to see because I was at the right place, right time. But I was not expecting to give so many movies such low scores. Um, for example, I don't know, like some of these I actually retroactively bumped my score for Craven Some Dick down to a 1 out of 10 after I watched Venom Tokyo Drift. And I think that's just purely because when I watched Venom, it's not like a good movie or anything, but I had way more fun watching that one than Craven. So I was like, well, I mean, I can't even give this a 2 out of 10 or whatever I gave it the last time because I got nothing out of it and it was completely shitty.
But
So
Tim, do
what's
you
the
remember
point? I
that
just drop it
scene?
down to a
Do you
1.
remember the scene where the rhino was like,
Yeah, I remember that. That was epic.
that was pretty sick.
I can't believe they left that shit in, bro.
So do you want? Yeah, let's start.
I-
Let's start. Number 5 on our lists. Tim, you want to go
Okay.
first?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So number 5, I'm gonna cheat a little bit, but I just want the opportunity to talk about both. So for my number 5, I put both Challengers and Queer. And the reason why I put both, other
All
than
right,
the
Luca
fact that they're
Guadagnino
both,
Stan.
yeah. Well, that's the craziest thing is that I'm not the biggest Luca Guadagnino fan, because like I've seen some of his other movies. I've seen I Am Love. I've seen
Call Me by Your
Call
Name.
Me by Your Name, Bones and all that stuff, and they're like fine. They're relatively fine. They're like decent movies that I can recognize are great and people really love and are emotionally attached to, but I've never been emotionally attached to any of those films. But
Just didn't
then
click,
this year, he just decided to release 2 bangers within the same year, and both are bangers for completely different reasons. And the reason why I put Challengers and Queer on number 5, other than, they're both Luca Guadagnino films, is that I have a hard time deciding between the two because I like both a lot for different reasons. Like Challengers is very maximalist. It's very high energy, very high octane. You got the fucking dance music from
I
Trent
still
Reznor
listen
and
to that
Atticus Ross.
soundtrack.
Oh, so do I. It's so good. But then you have something like Queer, which is really on the complete opposite. It's much more quiet. It's more contemplative. It takes more time to slow things down and really, let the characters breathe and develop and have these really emotional moments where, characters just interact with each other. But in a way that's so unique but so emotionally gut-wrenching. Because I had a really weird experience with Queer because the first like maybe 2 acts of this movie, I was like, I don't really think I'm either I'm not getting this or I'm not getting a lot out of this. But without spoiling anything, because I know a lot of you guys haven't seen this, the last like third act of this movie, I just completely changed my mind. I was just like, oh shit, I think I get it. It's like the Danny DeVito meme. It's like, oh my god, I get it. It's like it was a really profound experience. So now I'm kind of like going back and forth on these 2 films because they're so close to each other, and I'm like, well, I mean, I guess if I had to pick right now, I guess Challengers is the one I preferred like slightly. but they're both really amazing films that I go back and forth on.
Yeah, I really loved I don't know if I love Challengers. That was actually our first episode that we did.
Yeah.
It's the first Luca movie that I've actually liked, so it was kind of momentous.
Not a Call Me by Your Name fan?
No,
I was gonna say,
I didn't really like that movie either.
How many other Luca movies had you seen before that moment?
Well,
Suspiria fucking rocks. Sorry, I just gotta say that.
Oh yes,
I haven't seen that yet.
Suspiria was pretty good. This was pretty good. Call Me by Your Name I didn't like. I hated Bones and All. I might be missing. I've seen a couple of his movies, and I remember feeling like Challengers was the one that I actually really enjoyed out of all of his movies, because up until then I was like, this dude is so overrated. I don't know why he keeps getting all the praise that he's been able to garner throughout his career so far. I feel like you and Nick liked it a bit more than I did. I think Challengers.
No, I was pretty critical of it, and I still like I don't really like the movie all that much for various reasons, but I was still tempted, and I'm a huge Luca fan, but I was still tempted to put it on my top 5, mainly because I found the movie to be pretty memorable. Like, even if I didn't enjoy it as much as I'd hoped to, it is one of the movies I remember watching this year that I had a good time with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I definitely don't hate the movie. There's definitely flaws that I saw in it that I couldn't put in my list for.
Yeah, it's definitely that's a good word for it. It definitely is really memorable between the score and the cinematography. I think we talked about this on the first episode, especially the scene, the ending scene where the camera's like like standing in place of the ball was really cool.
Yeah, it is sex. I
want to see the behind the scenes
sex,
of how they filmed that, because that was so sick.
Yeah.
I think the last 10 minutes of this movie is just fucking perfection. Just the Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross score that plays along while they're, the beats, while for each beat in the dance music that they're playing, it lines exactly with, the precise moment they hit the balls back and forth. It's really just expert filmmaking. It's the last 10 minutes alone is worth the entire movie. Other than the hot threesome, but
which I still haven't seen Queer yet. I really want to, though. So
I don't think any of us but Tim have seen Queer yet.
I was tempted the other day, but I was with a group of people.
So who wants to go for 5 next?
You can go.
My number 5 is I'll throw in a popular IP. My number 5 is Furiosa by George Miller.
You normie. I'm just kidding.
I know, I'm a fucking normie.
I'm kidding.
Actually, it's Deadpool and Wolverine is my number 1.
Furiosa is in my list too, but I think I have it higher than 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, Furiosa is my number 5. I've had faith in George Miller ever since he put out Fury Road, because that film just fucking blows my mind. I was a little nervous before it came out because it started looking a little like it looks a little more fake than Fury Road did, but even by the time it comes out, it's still, all the action is so enthralling, all of the sets and the characters are so innovative and interesting, and it's just it's pretty long, and it does feel longer compared to Fury Road, but it's still so fucking awesome, and I've seen it like 3 times since I saw it in theaters.
So in other words, really in the theater you were like, it's Miller time, baby.
It's Miller time.
Yeah. Did you drink a Miller while you were watching Furiosa?
No, I think I had an icy.
Okay.
It was so hot. I had to cool myself down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it in my number 4 on my list. I really enjoyed it too. I think it was definitely cheesier than Fury Road, but I think that doesn't really negate anything. It was
cheesy in
really
what way?
I think it's just as cheesy as Fury Road.
It's definitely hammed up way more. A lot of especially Chris Hemsworth character, very goofy and silly.
Fucking amazing.
I think Fury Road was a lot more of a serious movie. It definitely wasn't fully serious, but it was more of a serious movie.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I always compare Fury Road is like one long action scene, and Furiosa is like a fable. That's what it feels like.
It's like an epic. Yeah. And I think that's kind of how I came around to Furiosa, which is, I think, on my 10th or 11th spot or something like that. So it definitely was in the top 10 for sure for me. But I think I've had a weird experience with this film, because I went to go see this 3 times, but for completely different reasons. So the first time I went to go see it, I actually was kind of mid on it, in the sense that there were parts of it that I really adored, but then there were other parts that I was just, why did you do this? I guess because I went in with the wrong expectations. I was expecting another Fury Road because I love Fury Road. It's one of the best action movies ever, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then I went to go see it again because my brother hadn't seen it yet. And I was like, whatever, I got time to kill. I'll watch this again. And then I actually ended up liking it a lot more in the second watch. And then I was like, what will happen if I watch it a third time? And, and then I watched it again and I was like, okay, I, it only bumped up a little bit more from where I was at. So it wasn't as major of a bump up as the first time I watched it. But I think the more times I watch this film, the more I really get it and the more I'm really absorbed into the atmosphere. Because I think that's the best part about this film, the atmosphere and kind of these moments of confrontation between characters. I think those are the parts that I really remember about this film more than anything.
Yeah,
it's
and
fucking
as you
awesome
guys
that
as you
he's-
guys know, I'm not a big George Miller guy. I'm not a Mad Max guy, so I didn't even see this, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll check
You
it
should
out.
definitely give it a shot. It's definitely got a lot more camp to
It's
it.
a
And it's
sin.
like and even like I think the issue with it is like the whole premise just sounded so fucking stupid. Like I genuinely didn't want to go see it because I thought Charlize Theron's character was so fucking lame in Fury Road. She was like the worst part of that movie for me.
How?
Bro, she
Anyway, yeah, it's beyond the point. It's beyond the point. Anyway, does someone want to give us?
It's-
Does anyone have a different
whatever.
number 5?
So
my number
my number 5 was I split it up into 2. I'll just for the first one I'm mentioning, I'll just get it's basically like an honorable mention, mostly because most people that saw this movie I think didn't really like it. It was Spaceman. It was like a early 2024 movie, Netflix
Adam
movie
Sandler
with
one?
with Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the
I haven't
Adam
even heard of
Sandler
this.
one.
The movie's
Right?
pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, it was it got really bad reviews, which after I saw it I was kind of surprised by because I thought it was great. I mean, it's also a subject matter that I'm really interested in. Anytime there's like an alien movie or outer space exploration movie and the alien isn't the center of like some kind of horror plot, I am automatically like more open to seeing that.
So they're gonna be what's the fucking word? Whenever they make a book into something, adapting. They're going to be adapting this book called Project Hail Mary, which is by the guy who wrote The Martian, and it's going to have aliens and like what you're looking for. And it's going to have Ryan Gosling as the main character.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
fucking good. Oh, I don't know who's directing it.
Oh, okay.
The Martian is another one of my favorite space movies. I really like. I love how methodical that movie is. But anyway, yeah, Spaceman was really good. I thought it was really emotional. It got me to really care about a talking arachnid alien, which was pretty impressive. And then sharing that 5 slot was a complete unknown, which I saw yesterday, which is admittedly like a fairly by the numbers music biopic by the same guy who did Logan,
James Mangold.
Mangold, and Walk the Line.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about the film. I mean, I'm still gonna see it anyway because, I mean, I like Bob Dylan, and I would like to fulfill the new Barbenheimer that I'm tastefully calling Comnos Girl, which is Complete Unknown, Nosferatu, and Baby Girl. Get in the comments and start that trend, please. I would like for this to be a thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're a fan of Bob Dylan, you're definitely going to enjoy it. I thought it was interesting for the main arc of where they decided to go with it, because there's so many moments or eras in Bob Dylan's career that you could have made a movie out of. I guess this is kind of his early beginnings, like showing up right in New York in the back of someone's station wagon to the Newport Folk Festival in 1965, where he decides to play electric in front of a audience that's primed to see folk music.
Okay, I see.
So there's it is insane actually to see how how much people were going just fucking buck wild insane at Bob Dylan for deciding to not play acoustic and play with 3 other people. Like now it seems so quaint to music listeners of the modern era who are used to so much more experimentation. But for them, it was like their ears were bleeding from seeing him play an electric guitar and have drums on the stage. But yeah, Timothy Chalamet had a great performance. The supporting cast was very good. The music was well done for the most part. I would recommend it. I'm not in love with it, but it was good.
Is
Hey,
it
Nick, have
better
you
than Bohemian
seen?
Rhapsody?
Have you?
I would
Yeah,
say
that's
so.
kind of
Yeah,
Okay,
I would
good.
say so.
yeah.
That's fine. That's the bottom
You
of the
mentioned
line.
that I'm a fan. You mentioned that I would maybe like this because I like Bob Dylan. I also like Queen, and Bohemian Rhapsody is one of the biggest pieces of cancer ever. So I know it's not fair to compare the two films, but I think that's kind of my main frustration with these types of movies is that they are so generic and by the book and formulated and corporately made that like it doesn't really matter. Like the upcoming Robbie Williams movie where Robbie Williams is monkey. Like if that's all the ideas you have to freshen up this genre, this style of movies, then I don't know. Maybe we either need to stop making them or just be more experimental.
But I would say
So
Walk
Nick,
the
have you?
Line was genuinely good.
And I
I
mean,
could not
Oppenheimer.
finish Walk the Line. I was so bored watching that one.
Oppenheimer is in the same genre basically, and I think that was a much more artful take
I never
on the
listened to
biopic
Oppenheimer's
genre.
music, actually.
Well, but I feel like with something like Oppenheimer, it's at least giving me a visual experience that is missing from a lot of these film music biopics or whatever. Like, I don't know. Have you seen what's that film called? I'm Not There, I think it's called. It's a Todd Haynes film about Bob Dylan, but it's a very interesting film.
They get
It's
different people to play him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Oh,
saw that film a
okay.
long time ago when I was getting into Bob Dylan, and I remember liking it. I don't remember loving it, but what I appreciate about that film in retrospect is how experimental and kind of wacky it goes in the like it's not interested in telling a regular biopic. It's more kind of exploring the essence of who Bob Dylan is by exploring different parts of his life played by different actors, so one is played by Kate Blanchett, the other is played by Jonkler Man from Dark Knight, and the other's played by Christian Bale and all this other stuff. And I just kind of wish I just want to see more things like that, like I'm so frustrated when I can just predict every music
But you also have to
biopic
keep
like
in
this,
mind. You also have to keep in mind, like, it's been so long since these people were actually around. Like, it's actually like history. Like, they're teaching people, like kids these days or people these days, about those musicians. They probably might
Sometimes
not
I
even
mean,
have heard of
the
them.
great, but like
biopics
why
are
does every
inaccurate,
movie
though.
have to feel like
But
Wikipedia is
I'm
feeding
just
me
saying, doing something that
information?
experimental isn't actually going to accomplish what they're hoping to accomplish.
I never
sure-
saw it, but didn't Rocketman do kind of experimental
I like
things?
Rocket Man.
Not really. Like
No.
the musical set pieces might as well have just been concert like scenes, and they would have fulfilled the same. Like it being a musical fantasy literally doesn't change anything about it. It just makes it a little shinier than
What'd y'all think about
most
the
other
Oliver
music
Stone, The
biopics.
Doors?
Oh, I like that movie. I remember liking that when I was a kid.
I love that movie, but I know Tim hates
I
Oliver
haven't
Stone.
seen it in a long time. Yeah. What do you have against Oliver Stone?
I thought you hated Oliver Stone.
I haven't seen
Am I
enough
crazy?
Oliver Stone to have an opinion on Oliver Stone. I want to watch some of his greatest hits. I still need to see JFK and fucking what's it called? Natural Born Killers. Yeah.
JFK is a really fun conspiracy movie. I like that.
Isn't it
Well,
4 hours long?
Yeah, it's very long.
It's really fucking long.
Very long.
So my number 5 is Terrifier 3.
That really?
Yeah, it's honestly in my top 5.
I mean, this is Nick we're talking about. He loves
This is-
slasher shit.
So my stuff is like, my top 5 isn't necessarily things I would rate the highest. Like, I'm sure there's like, I would, was the Holdovers this year? Like, I would technically put the Holdovers.
That
was last year.
That was last
No,
year.
that was last
There's a
year.
bunch of movies this
Yeah.
year, like, that like Challengers I would rate higher than Terrifier, like if I'm just giving it a pure ranking. But as far as like pure enjoyment and like my chances of going back and watching it again, Terrifier is like way above those movies. So
That's fair.
I mean,
yeah.
Terrifier is just pure enjoyment. Like I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch all of them whenever the next one releases. It was just a really fun movie for me to watch.
Yeah. You should have watched it during Christmas time.
Yeah. There was a trend going around. Did you guys see this where people were turning on Terrifier 3 and not telling their family what it was, being like, it's a Christmas movie, and just kind of seeing how far they could get through it?
Yeah, I don't know if I
For the
want to put my
kids.
family through that.
It's for the kids. It's about a fun birthday clown.
I know they're fun for you and certain people, Nick, but I wouldn't be mad if I didn't have to watch another Terrifier. in my
Anime
entire
and
life.
Terrifier.
I think I
Nick's
could go
worst
the rest of
nightmare.
my life without having to watch another Terrifier movie ever in my entire life.
Well,
They better
probably
call it
another one coming out
Terraform
next year, so-
next
He's
year.
gonna do one next year already.
Probably.
Well, he has to, because they ended on a shitty cliffhanger, so they better. They most likely will.
If Tim gets to make y'all watch anime, I'm gonna make y'all watch fucking Terrifier.
When are they
Or
gonna
make
put
us watch
Terrifier
anime.
in, like, I don't know, Mortal Kombat? Then we'll know he's peaked.
All right. Well, Tim, you
Is
want
he
to
in
do your
Fortnite?
4?
That's the determining factor of whether or not he's relevant. If he's in Fortnite,
I wonder if he is in Fortnite.
yeah.
Unless you have more to say
Anyway,
about Terrifier, Nick. I'm sorry.
I think everybody probably. I think that people know what Terrifier is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I'm curious what Ethan thinks about Terrifier, because like we've already had a in-length discussion about this film, and you weren't a part of that yet. So I'm just curious what your thoughts on
My
that
thoughts
movie.
are, I haven't seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. I haven't seen the third one.
What
okay,
the fuck?
so fucking nothing. So jack all.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, absolute dick. Yeah, my number 4 is Look Back. This was so I was so hyped to see this film because it was I'm a huge fan of the manga. It's from Tatsuki Fujimoto, who did um Nick's favorite Chainsaw Man. So he's the mangaka behind Chainsaw Man. But
Oh,
I've been a
really?
fan
Same
of
guy?
yeah, I've been a fan of his. You know, even before I started reading Chainsaw Man, I read Fire Punch like a long time ago. I never finished it because I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? But now that I get Fujimoto's style and approach to narrative, I kind of want to give it another chance. And then Goodbye Eerie is just one of the best things ever. I fucking love that. It's a very quick read, so if you need something to read manga-wise, I highly recommend Goodbye Eerie. But I was really, really excited for Look Back specifically because it's so different from Chainsaw Man. It's a very emotional story. So the premise of Look Back is that it follows these two kids who dream of becoming manga artists. And it starts out as like a Amadeus style rivalry because the main character for the longest time has just been praised to death because everyone loves her mangas. They love her mangas that she publishes on the school newspaper. But then once she takes a look at the other main character's manga and realizes, oh, she's so much better, she kind of pushes herself to become better and better at drawing manga until they eventually start meeting and then they meet together. And it's a film about art and kind of the lengths that you have to go through and the ways you have to push yourself to create the art that you love and are passionate about. But it's also about the love and friendship and relationship that blossoms when you share that passion, when you share that art form that you love so dearly with another person, but also kind of the trials and tribulation that comes when you and the other person start having different feelings about the art that you're making, like what direction that you see in your careers as artists and the type of art that you hope to create. So I'm trying to be as vague as possible because I want both everyone in this episode and people listening for anyone who hasn't watched the film, it's a very quick watch. It's like, I think less than an hour. I think it's like 50 minutes, 55 minutes or something like that.
Damn.
So yeah, and it's on Amazon Prime. It's not a long watch at all. And I've seen this film twice. I went to go see this in theaters and I was shocked how packed it was. Because when I go to see big anime events like this, I usually can just go to the theaters and buy a ticket because it's like, well, it's just weebs who's gonna show up, so it's not gonna be that packed. But I when I checked to see the pre-order tickets, there was only one seat left, and it was a shitty seat in like the front row. So I was like, whoa, what? So I bought my tickets, and this is a really surreal experience because this is the first anime movie I went to go see in a theater where BO wasn't masking the entire
I was just
theater,
about to
where
ask, how did it smell?
it didn't smell like shit. For the first time in my entire life going to an anime movie, it didn't smell like shit. And I was so taken aback by that. Like, I was like, holy shit, it's possible. Clean weebs are possible.
Jeez.
Yeah. I loved it, and then I watched it again when it came out on Amazon Prime, and I loved it even
Okay.
more. And yeah, it's a really gut-wrenching experience. It's so sweet and yet so so emotional. I already said that, but I don't really know how else to describe it. And yeah, don't go expecting Chainsaw Man at all. I mean, well, expect Chainsaw Man in the sense that Fujimoto likes playing around with reality. He likes shifting between the natural and the unnatural, I guess, if that makes sense. So kind of expect that, but don't go expecting any like extreme violence or anything like that. This is very much a more
How horny is it?
centralized story about friendship
Yeah, how
and
horny is
manga
it?
drawing and stuff. How horny is it? I don't know, not very.
Okay, well, what does that mean? Because Chainsaw Man is very horny.
I mean, there aren't any gratuitous tits, if that's what you're
Okay,
asking.
there we're good. We're good. Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually the fact that it's Fujimoto, and that kind of perked my eyebrows up because I've been hearing good things about Look Back, but I didn't know it was him, and also that it's 50 minutes. That's a breeze.
Yeah, it's a short investment. I might check it out.
Yeah.
I'll totally check that out. I actually want to, since we're talking about Fujimoto and Chainsaw Man, I want to warn both of the Nicks, mainly Culture Nick, that next year the Chainsaw Man movie is coming out. So
Hell
prepare your
yeah,
asses because Tim is
baby!
100%
Yes!
going to recommend that shit.
Yes, we are. Ethan and I are gonna watch that shit, and we're gonna force the other two to watch because holy fuck, the trailer is absolute sex. I saw it 3 times. I was like, hell yeah, this is it. This is it.
Maybe we just talk about the trailer. That sounds fun.
Why is it necessary to do a Chainsaw Man movie? They
It's
just did the entire series.
Not doing it's just they're basically taking one of the arcs from the manga and they're just like making one movie out
That's
of
what
it.
they do in
and then
anime.
shows
They basically
the
just condense it and animate it super high quality.
So it's
Yeah.
like a part of the manga that hasn't been
continuation,
adapted on
yeah.
screen
Yeah,
yet.
it's continuing
Yeah.
the anime, so don't think of it as like a separate thing. It very much is part of the overall
It's
story.
like
you
season
need to watch
1.5.
this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
a lot of popular anime have been doing this. I think it started when Demon Slayer Mugen Train like earned a shit ton of money or something like that. Because
Jujutsu
since then
Zero
we've
kind
just
of
been
did that
I thought
too.
they started
yeah,
doing it in
Jujutsu
One
Kaisen
Piece.
0. I mean, they've been doing that before, but they've been very like low effort, straight to DVD, lower quality animation type shit. Because Dragon Ball had a lot of just straight to DVD, non-canon movies about Cooler or Broly or something like that. But
Those are sick though, like the Super Android 13 and shit. That shit
no,
was
they're
sick.
good. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying like I think post Demon Slayer Mugen Train, more studios have been making more movies that are a part of the canon. So like you still need to watch these movies too after you finish season 1, 2, fucking whatever. I guess
Gotcha.
except for Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which is just before everything that happens in the rest of
Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah.
But yeah,
All
just
right,
a heads
Gulif,
up.
what's your number
so what-
4?
So
Yeah,
Ethan,
what's your-
sorry, I don't mean to continue this Fujimoto. Ethan,
No,
have
you're
you
good.
read
Yeah.
Goodbye? Have you read Goodbye Eerie? I don't know if you've read that
No.
one at all. Okay, I highly recommend you give that a shot. It's so
Yeah,
it's
I'll
just as
mark that down.
emotionally beautiful as this one, but as Look Back, but that one is much more. It's got a bit of Kaufmanisms. Like it kind of
Oh,
reminded
okay.
me of Synecdoche, New York. That's the best I can say without spoiling it. I'd say just give it a shot. Yeah.
All right, we're losing Culture Nick. We gotta win him back. All right, we're doing.
Yeah, go do your number 4.
Well, I don't know if my number 4 is Nosferatu. I don't know if we want to get into Nosferatu now.
Might as
We
well.
can. I mean,
Yeah.
my
All right,
Nosferatu
sure.
is my number 2. So
Okay.
This was.
I
I mean,
think
we were
we-
supposed
yeah.
to talk about this as its own half episode or whatever. So yeah, it's good
let's
that
just
we're
get into it.
all
Yeah,
get
let's
into it
as
now.
well.
spend a little
Yeah.
more time on it.
Is it on
Yeah,
everyone's
I-
list? I don't think it's on Tim's list, but
No,
It's
it's
on
not on my
mine.
list.
Tim doesn't like seeing a vampire's cock. He's a coward. So, I really
No,
like
I just
this.
like. You don't know what kind of cock I like. Don't put fucking words in my
Sorry.
mouth, you piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I've been a big Eggers fan since I saw The Witch or The Vavitch or whatever. It just made me feel like I needed to take a bath. Like I felt dirty, but in a good way. So I've watched every single thing since he's been working, and this is probably not one of my higher ranked. I think I have to rewatch The Witch because it's been like 6 years since I saw it last. But it's like in the middle, 3 or 4. I think I like this more than The Northman, but I fucking love this one, dude. This was so sick to see in a theater, and it was packed. Like, I had a packed theater watching this.
I had to sit in the front because I
Yeah.
didn't
This
buy
is his
tickets
best
online.
performing movie.
Yeah,
made, like,
it
its
did
budget
really
back
well this
first
weekend.
weekend.
Yeah.
Nick's message after because he watched it before us and he sent that message and it scared me. He was just like, I don't know if I like this one, boys. Like because I think he was still thinking about it. and I was like, "Fuck!" And I like went in, and I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't expect to like it. And it was like halfway through, and I was like, "No, I
I
really
wanted
like
to
this
try.
movie."
I wanted to try and go see it on Christmas Day, but all the showings near my theater were just completely sold out. Like there was
Yeah,
no way
damn.
for me to watch the movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
what's
it's not that I don't like it. It's I do really like it. I mean, it was my number 2 movie of the year. But I think I have such high expectations when it comes to Eggers, and it feels like he's at, with the Northmen and kind of cementing it with this. For what this is worth, because this isn't necessarily like the most accessible movie I've ever seen, but it definitely does seem like he's in this new era of his career. He's having more of an interest in making things a little bit more streamlined and accessible for a mainstream
But
audience. I don't know if
I
you
think
guys
it
agree with that.
also, I agree with you, but I also think it has to do with him having more resources available. I think him making these like really like crafty movies where he's kind of like working within a one environment like Lighthouse or things like that. I think he just didn't have as many resources to do what he wanted, so he kind of had to do a little bit more of an offbeat, weird movie.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean,
And
I
it,
don't
and
I
it,
don't know what the
I
budget
I
is
don't
of
think I
this.
I don't
I
think I
think it was
agree
50
with that
million.
just pure I don't think I agree with that purely just because um like when he was making The Northman, he famously didn't have final cut on the movie or something, and
Oh,
he was
really?
told to make things more accessible. And he stated that he wanted to go back to making smaller budget films because of, the nosy business executives poking their nose where they shouldn't belong, and having to make things more mainstream and streamlined. So I think it's less to do that that he has less resources to work with, and more just he likes making weird, surrealist, nightmarish films that might not make sense on like a pure plot, surface level perspective, but have a lot of depth and things to say about whatever he's interested in. Because like part of what I love about The Lighthouse is that it's just so bonkers from beginning to end, and it just didn't give a fuck if you completely followed everything that was going on. I mean, it's not exactly the hardest movie to follow, but it definitely is leading into the whole we're descending into madness, so everything starts becoming a blur where it's almost like a Satoshi Kon David Lynch shit where you just don't know what the fuck is going on, or
Yeah, there's
you're
lots of
not
layers of
really.
symbolism to pull up in the
Yeah,
Lighthouse
but
for
like
sure.
Well,
but the point of what I loved about the Vivitch and the Lighthouse is that I didn't really get it, but like me understanding the plot or the story is not really the point of why I love those movies. It's more the experience I get from those very surreal moments, or the way they're shot, or like, the black and white aesthetic from The Lighthouse, especially, and all these other things, like that's what I'm remembering more. So when I watch a movie like Nosferatu that's trying to lean more into plot and story, I just don't get much out of that, and I can't. I'm personally not really attached to this
but explain
Nosferatu
why you
Dracula
don't.
story anyway.
Explain why you don't get much out of that, as opposed to just watching a normal movie. Like, why can't you just look at it from the lens of it being an actual normal fucking movie?
Well, what's a normal movie? Like,
Any other movie
because
with a
a lot.
story structure that you can follow. Like, I don't understand why something that has a hard to follow story structure because it's weird is.
Well, it just seems like in something like this, it's just clashing, because it seems like, because the things that I really remember from Nosferatu, I didn't hate the movie. I did quite enjoy it. I thought it was decent. I thought it was good. But I think this is my least favorite Robert Eggers film, because it's streamlined to the point where, you know, when I watch an art film, do I really need scenes of characters just explaining the plot, just explaining, oh boy, this is Nosferatu, this is the vampire, like it's going to get
But
you,
did you
and
watch
does all this
either of the
stuff. Like, do I
movies that
really
like
need?
influenced it though? Like, I
That
mean,
but
it's.
those
I've
scenes
seen
were
both the
necessary
original.
though, because like Willem Dafoe's character needed to get both the audience on board, but also the townspeople who weren't exactly like willing to accept that this might be a supernatural explanation. So he kind of had to. I think he had to do that though in those scenes. You know what I
I
mean?
guess I just think that it would have been conceptually more interesting if Nosferatu was less this evil final boss that they had to beat, and more just this overlooming presence that you
But
can't
it's not
really
like they
beat
sent
on
the
like
whole
a
town after.
physical.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not like they sent the whole town after him and like with pitchforks and shit. Like it's fucking
No, I'm not saying they
Frankenstein.
do
Like,
that. So, like, what I'm just more frustrated by are just on top of these moments where they just have to explain the plot because it's a vampire movie. You have to explain exposition, lore dump details, and stuff like that. Is that
but
it
that's
also
like
just kind of got repetitive at a certain point? Like at a at a certain point when I see the same, oh, it was a dream and it was spooky and it was scary and I'm gonna get you and stuff like that. I just kind of like I really feel the length from that because the first maybe 30 minutes of this movie, I was super into it, both cinematography wise and presentation wise. I really loved just how the dream sequences are presented, where you're kind of going mad the same way that Nicholas Holt's character is going mad as well. And like I really, really was digging that. And I was hoping the rest of the movie would be that. But then like once it just becomes a standard, there's a spooky vampire, we gotta go get him, that type of shit, it was just like, oh, okay, I guess this is where things are going. When I
It
really
never.
preferred the more surrealist aspects of the film.
I don't ever think it ever felt like a bog standard vampire movie. I mean, it's in a way it's going to kind of be that because it's like the original movie vampire even before Dracula. But I don't know. I think they kept it feeling like this ethereal, untouchable being, and like literally they aren't even able to get to him by the end. Like the only way they can stop him is they fuck him to death. Spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was
That last scene
cool
does
how
go hard. I'll give it that. That last scene
and
does go
I'm sure
hard.
he was pretty hard.
Yeah.
you see how small his ass was?
I mean, it's Bill Skarsgård.
I like this more than the Northman though, because I feel like the Northman was a very, very straightforward revenge story
Yeah.
where I don't really know how much that movie had to say. Whereas this one, it felt like he was, or at least what I took from it, that Nosferatu is kind of like this dark shadow of like human sexual desire. Like that's what he manifests as, and you can see it in the scenes with Lily Rose Depp and him, that she, like there is a major part of her that like actually wants to succumb and just fuck this vampire, this disgusting ass vampire, which is kind of cool.
She was really good, and I thought Willem
wish it was
Dafoe was fucking
hornier, though.
insanely good. I thought Willem
Like, I
Dafoe was
wish it
so fucking good in this movie.
Yeah,
I wish
Yeah,
it was
he always
hornier
kills it.
though. I wish it was hornier like the Werner
Bro.
Herzog
I will
Nosferatu
say-
Everything
version.
doesn't
I
need
do
to be
think-
hornier, Tim. God damn it.
I do think there was a lot of hype going in. People are like, "This is the horniest fucking movie I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life." And I saw it, and I was like, "There was like 2 sex
I don't know
scenes."
why people were saying that. It was so tame. Like I saw cock maybe like once in one single frame, and
wasn't
that's
even
about
hard.
it. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah, it was
even
a
hard,
soft
man.
cock.
Yeah.
Did you guys like his? Did you guys like Nosferatu's little mustache?
I thought it was really funny.
I thought it was an
hilarious.
inspired. I kind of liked it in the sense that it was a very inspired choice
It looked
because
real weird.
it did, but I kind of got used to it because I kind of fully understood what he was going for, because I like how they made Count Orlok in this one like a Russian oligarch, like a old-timey like
His
Ivan the
outfit.
Terrible-esque
He's wearing
Russian
like a big
oligarch.
Ushanka hat and stuff.
Yeah, which was which is especially inspiring because the Dracula story is inspired by Vlad the Impaler, who was like this insane, delusional, maniacal, like psychopath Russian oligarch. So to make him like that same esque Russian oligarch type figure, I thought was a very interesting choice.
that's
Yeah,
what's so
what's
cool
y'all's-
about
I don't know.
Nosferatu to begin with, though. It's like you said, it's Vlad the Impaler, which then became Dracula, which then became this, and now there's so many iterations of the iteration of Dracula and Vlad the Impaler. It's cool how things evolve over time like that, you know?
Yeah.
What's y'all's
Is
Ignor's
there
power
different
so
ranking?
is Count Orlok is basically Dracula, right? He's just a
Yeah.
funnier looking Dracula.
He's
Okay,
just
I'm not
the
too
more
familiar.
ugly Dracula.
He just
Actually,
doesn't get hot.
The person who made Nosferatu back in I think it was the 20s got
22.
sued.
Yeah.
Got sued because it was too close to Dracula.
Yeah,
So,
he didn't
okay.
have the rights to the book.
I
so
want to know
which
y'all's
is
Ignor's
kinda
power
funny.
rankings.
Power rankings.
Um,
Mine is from 4 to top. It's fuck. I really got to rewatch The Witch, but I'm going off gut right now. So
I like how you
Northman's
said
my
4
least
to
favorite.
top, but then did top to bottom when you said
Sorry,
that.
4 to 1. Anyway, Northman is my least favorite. I still think it's fucking awesome, but like Nick said, it's a very straightforward revenge story with some cool ethereal scenes in it sprinkled in there. Nosferatu is number 3. in a similar way that the Northman was. It's also way more straightforward than his other stuff. And then it's The Witch, and then just purely off the way it made me feel. And then The Lighthouse is fucking peak. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah. Mine's worst to best: Northman, Nosferatu, Witch, Lighthouse. And was that the exact same one as yours?
Same thing.
Yeah.
I think
we're on the same wavelength right now.
Yeah.
I think I did. So when I first watched The Witch, I actually didn't like it the first time I watched it. And then I rewatched it a couple years ago, or like a year ago, and I actually liked it a lot more. And I think it's actually probably my number one, and then Nosferatu, and then Lighthouse, and then fucking Northman, which I didn't even really like the Northman that much.
You didn't like Lighthouse very much?
I did, but I think I like Nosferatu more. I think it's because I'm a straightforward ass bitch, as Tim would say.
Yeah, this guy put Terrifier 3 in his top.
And I don't really prefer straightforward stuff. I like weird. I like experimental. I'm sorry. I'm a pretentious douchebag. My ranking from worst to best. I mean, not even worst. That's at least favorite to most favorite would be Nosferatu, Northman, Vivitch, and Lighthouse. I actually liked the Northman more than Nosferatu. Just purely because, like, yes, it's also very straightforward and very streamlined in terms it's just Hamlet but with Vikings. But what I like about the surrealist aspects of the Northman is that it's weird, but it has like a place within the story, because like when you see the weird shit that happens in the Northman, like the really sick, dank, epic fire chant thing where they're like doing chants in front of a fire and they're howling and stuff like that, or when the guy from Succession has to fight a Draugr or whatever. Like, those things are very surreal, but they make sense within the context of this story because these are just projections of what the characters actually believed in, because this is going for a very historically accurate Viking culture film where when you see the things that happen in this film, like, it feels real because these are what the characters believed in. They believed in this notion that berserkers are man and animal morphed into one being. They believed in, the Valkyries riding in to bring them to Valhalla and all this other shit. So it makes sense within the context of this film. Like, it doesn't feel out of place. But when I'm watching something like Nosferatu, it just feels like the weird shit is just there out of obligation. Like, that's the thing that he's really interested in.
Give me an example of what's weird out of
obligation. I mean, those are poor choice of words. I mean, let me rephrase what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the parts that I really loved, like the very like surrealist, very horror-esque natures, like the opening scene where Nosferatu, you can't see him, but he grabs Lily Rose Depp's character by the throat. That was really incredible. That was an incredible opening shot. And then just the crazy shit that Nicholas Holt's character goes through, in the castle where he doesn't know what's going on, if everything's happening in his head or not, all that stuff. Like, I really liked that. And I wish the film was more like that throughout the rest of the film, but it just doesn't. It becomes a more conventional, standard vampire story, except it's also a period piece because it takes place in 19th century Germany, which that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that just kind of more stems from Robert Eggers' love and admiration for the original 1922 F.W. Murnau film, which that's cool. I don't really care for the original 1922 film. I thought it was whatever. I prefer. I much prefer the Werner Herzog one. I actually really do enjoy. I mean, it's not like the most amazing movie either, but what I remember about the Werner Herzog one is, just how out there and insane it is. Like, I remember the lighting in particular really being really, really striking in particular, and I think Klaus Kinski, Jesus, gives a really just bizarre and out there performance. Like, it's not like this version of Count Orlok where he's just Russian man, the occult and all that stuff. Like, it's just a fucking weirdo as a vampire, so I mean, it's not fair to compare this and the Werner Herzog one because they're completely different experiences, but in terms of like what I want from a Dracula type movie, I guess, I don't know, I feel like, especially a Robert Eggers version of a Dracula movie, I guess this was way more mainstream and streamlined to the point that I had a bit frustrations with it.
I think for me, the only separation I have between Nosferatu and Northman is just personal preferences for aesthetics, where I don't really care about Viking aesthetics or Norse mythology, but I get down with fucking Victorian era, early 1900s, fucking Bloodborne shit. I got Bloodborne tats all over my body. I just love the aesthetic, and that's really it. I don't think he's ever made a bad movie.
Oh yeah, Northman. It's my least favorite of his, but I appreciate that movie so much just for the simple fact that I've never seen a movie that effectively puts you in the mindset of being someone who actually lived from that time. Like the moral universe of the Northman is so skewed that like you actually just start to watch the main character fucking like rape and pillage this tiny little village or whatever, and you're just like, holy shit, I don't even like, I guess that's what they do, you know, like you don't even you don't judge them the same way that you would in any other movie.
It's like his day job. It's
just so effectively done.
How do you all feel about Lily Rose Depp's performance? Because I was the entire time watching it, I was like, she's going big, but she was walking that line of just like, okay, this could be really absurd and stupid and come off as like really cringy and like verging on like Jim Carrey the Mask stuff.
There were parts where it got super cringe and unintentionally funny, like the scene where
I think she killed it.
I don't think so.
Lily Rose Depp was.
I think she was really good. But the person I was good. The person I was with that watched the person that I was with that watched it with me. They were like, she was going way too hard with that shit, and I was just like, I don't know. So I can see both sides, but I think she did a really good job.
I read she based her performance off the lead actress from Possession as well, which I haven't seen, but I've seen a lot of clips of that popping up.
Yeah. I think overall she did a good job, but there were a couple moments where I'm like, excuse me, like the scene where she tells Nicholas Hoult, fuck me hard. Nosferatu fucks me harder than you or whatever.
Never
I was
fuck
like,
me
what
like
the
he does.
fuck? Yeah, I was
Tim,
like,
we're gonna
what the
clip
fuck?
that and use that against you later.
Okay, yeah. This is my cancel culture moment. This is what gets me canceled.
I thought specifically that scene was really good, and her just fucking drooling and shit.
Dude, she literally does the fucking werewolf meme where she's like, how much fucking cooler do you want to get?
Yeah,
I thought she was great. I thought her and fucking Willem Dafoe both killed it in that fucking movie. Nicholas Hoult was a bit of a
hoping for more of Willem Dafoe.
Nicholas Hoult was a bit of a non-factor for me, which I love him, but I feel like he didn't get much chance to do much in this movie.
It was great. The whole scene where he's walking around the castle.
Nicholas Hoult in the movie. Yeah,
that was my favorite part of the movie. I think his extended sequence, like from the moment where he gets to the village and he goes to sleep and everyone's gone. Like basically from that moment to when he leaves the nunnery, I was like, this is fucking awesome. I love that entire.
I thought he was good. Yeah. I just I don't know. I was hoping he'd fucking turn into a vampire or something. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting.
I don't know. I didn't see it. Did anyone else see Voyage of the Last Demeter?
I did.
Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Last Voyage of the
Demeter. So we got a
vampire
vampire movie on a boat that's like based on Nosferatu-ish. And then in Nosferatu, we basically got that movie.
I was thinking about it the whole time. Yeah.
Was it better than?
But it's probably better.
Did nobody see it but me?
No, I didn't see it. I wanted to
see it. Yeah,
it was like a very okay movie. It was fine.
Yeah.
Didn't have Davos Seaweather, whatever his name is.
Yeah. I actually, speaking about Nosferatu himself, I thought fucking Bill Skarsgård was so good.
Yeah, I was wondering if he's going to get typecast as after it and this. Is he going to get typecast as movie goons?
Hey, at least he's not
mainly because his
other clown guy.
Mainly because his other movies aren't that good.
The Crow.
It's like all he's good at.
Yeah, he will forever be cast as freaks and weirdos because that's just what he's really good at. That though, like I'm not saying that as a negative. He's really good at playing freaks and weirdos. Like I think he gave like the best performance in the entire film. Like the first like hour of the movie, I just completely forgot that was Bill Skarsgård. It didn't hit me that was Bill Skarsgård until I remembered while watching the movie that he was cast as Count Orlok, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Bill Skarsgård. That's crazy. Like it doesn't sound like him at all, and it doesn't look like him at all either.
It really seems like he does a lot better of a job whenever he's like given a character to like really lose himself in.
Where he
like,
disappears.
Yeah, because if he like I don't know what was that because even in
Crow.
Barbarian, which I fucking love Barbarian, I was just like, didn't do. He was whatever.
He was fine. Yeah, he was serviceable.
Oh, yeah.
He was the opening like 20 minutes or whatever. He was in that.
He was the nice
I
guy
forgot.
who wasn't presented as a nice guy initially, but then
But he
ended
was
up
like
being
trying
good.
to convince you that he was a nice
Yeah.
guy, and it turns out
He
he
was the
probably
creep.
was.
He was the creep that was a secret Chad the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, I'll do my number 4, which
Yeah, let's
was
transition.
I saw the TV Glow, which is, I believe, the second film from Jane Schoenbrunn. They made this movie. I've read as like sort of a light, loose, allegorical take on their understanding and like coming out of the closet as trans, or their transition, which I didn't know that. I learned that like looking into it afterwards, and that, I mean, I took something completely different from the movie, but it's basically about how people, get stuck in immersing themselves in art and using that as an escape mechanism when they don't really like who they are as people. This is, the main characters in this show get so heavily obsessed with this old like nostalgic TV show from when they were kids that they start to believe that they actually are characters from the show. Have you guys seen this at all?
I haven't. That sounds cool.
I wanted to see it. It's on my watch list, and I wanted to see it, but I just didn't have the time.
Yeah,
I saw
really,
I
really
just
good.
realized I saw their previous movie.
I'm seeing Fred Durst is in it. Who the fuck is Fred Durst playing it?
He's the guy from The Fanatic with John Travolta.
Well, he directed that movie,
yes,
which was
that
fucking
epic
horrible.
I didn't realize that Fred Durst was in it.
Oh, I'm just looking at the cast right now.
Did anyone see?
It says he's Frank.
Did anyone see their previous film? We're all going to the World's Fair. That's also my watch list. I haven't seen that.
I actually
what'd you think?
did not like it very much.
Okay.
I really liked it from seeing how incredibly low budget. It literally feels like they had no budget. Like I can really appreciate it, but it just didn't click. It just didn't mesh for me. But I'm willing to hear other arguing points. It just didn't really do anything for me.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Would you say it's something I would like?
I saw the TV Glow.
Probably not.
Yeah,
no,
I both.
the first movie.
Because
I would say I don't think you'd like We're All Going to the World's Fair.
I think you guys would all get. I mean, well, maybe Nick. I don't know if would like. I saw the TV Glow, but I think you. Because
we know you don't.
Do
like
we really
people.
need to remind you?
Hey.
Do we really need to teach you this lesson again, old man?
Am I
first the last of us?
One of the people that hate gay people? Why can't I think of the word?
Homophobe?
Yeah, am I a homophobe now? What's happening here?
No, it's
technically
not
transphobe because it's a trans thing, but whatever.
It's all about just coming out. So.
For me, at least, the queerness of the story was very much an undertone. I mean, there's nothing really major in it that I feel like was beating you over the head with any kind of LGBT message. Not that that's gonna put you off, Nick. I'm just saying it's not really that kind of movie. It's definitely allegorical, I guess, but yeah, definitely one of my favorite horror movies of the year. I really
Call Me by Your Name
it.
is one of my favorite movies. So
all right.
I don't hate gay people, okay? Or gay things.
He's the.
Sure.
I actually
all
have
right.
gay friends, so it's okay if I say that word.
I actually don't have gay friends, but I've tried. Okay.
I
actually love black people. I love 12 Years a Slave. It's like the same fucking argument.
No, I'm saying it's not off-putting for me in movies. Is all I'm saying.
All right.
I can watch dudes.
My
I can
best
watch
friends
dudes.
are Jewish.
I can watch dudes make out. It doesn't weird me out. Okay.
All right. Well, you do your 4, Nick.
We already talked about it. It's Furiosa.
All right. So Tim, what's your 3?
Yeah, my number 3 is a movie called The Nickel Boys, directed by Ramel Ross. Hopefully I said that correctly. Yeah, I got to see this at New York Film Festival. It was probably one of the last few movies I saw there, and it's probably the best thing I saw at the festival, and yeah, one of my favorite movies of this year. I don't want to spoil too much about it, because I think it's getting a theatrical release either, like, I think sometime in January or something. I don't know, just it'll be out in theaters soon, so I don't really want to spoil anything, but yeah, it's a very... Man, how do I talk about this film without spoiling?
Just
give us the general premise.
Okay, so basically the premise is that it follows the friendship of two black kids who are forced into this prep school that does a lot of alleged illegal no shit. And it's just kind of them exploring their friendship and how they survive in this very racially tense environment, and just how just finding themselves as people within their society and stuff. It's kind of a vague way to describe. I don't know. I want to be more specific, but that's as general as it can get.
Okay.
It's a very visceral experience. The film is shot in a very interesting way. It is very experimental. I'll just say that. I want to use a movie to compare it to, but then I would just spoil something major, so I would rather not. But just note that it's not an average sort of like film about race relations during the 1960s, that sort of stuff, or a regular coming of age story. It's presented in a much more interesting and unique way that didn't really work for a lot of people. So when I went to go see this, and I talked to some people who went to go see it, it was very mixed. Some were very not open. They hated the way the film was shot and presented. I really loved it. I thought it was really interesting and was probably the most unique aspect about the film. But even like taking aside how it's shot, I think the most important thing is it's a very emotionally powerful and rich story about two kids finding themselves, especially in a very hostile environment, and them trying to find their place in the world, and also, the friendship that blossoms between the two and then eventually things take a curve and all this other stuff. I'm sure there is someone who could better explain the plot than I can, but that's the best I can do. Okay, let me see how Wikipedia explains the plot and see if that does a better job.
No, that's okay.
But yeah, I
You don't
didn't.
have to- you
Yeah,
don't
no,
have to do
I
that.
think I think you gave
I
a
didn't know,
decent
but
pitch of
I
it.
didn't know anything about. Yeah, I didn't know anything about the movie. I didn't know like anything about it when I went to go see it. I went in just completely blind, and it was a really amazing experience because after the movie was shown, the cast and crew, sorry, just the cast and the director came on stage, and they just answered questions about, what did they like about the movie, what were they thinking when they were making the film, blah blah blah, that sort of stuff. So okay, here's a better premise explainer on Wikipedia. So the story follows two African American boys, Elwood and Turner, who are sent to an abusive reform school called the Nickel Academy in 1960s Florida. The film is
Okay.
inspired by the historic reform school in Florida called the Dozier School for Boys, which was notorious for abusive treatment of students. So there you go.
Got it. No, I think
Yeah.
you gave a fine synopsis. So
No,
I figured
yeah.
I might be the only person in the group. Maybe I'm not. Maybe Stop Culture's also with me. But I threw Dune Part 2 in my top 3, or in my number 3 slot. I don't know. Does anyone else have Dune 3 or Dune Part 2?
Dune is my top of the year, number 1.
Oh, hell yeah.
I just released
wow.
a whole video shitting on Dune, so.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We know. There's a lot of
I mean-
problems today with you, Nick.
I enjoyed Dune Part 2. I mean, I didn't hate it. I liked it a lot, but to say it's like I don't even think it's the best movie of the year, much less in the top 250 letterbox movies of all time, so a part of what I really like about the movie are just, the world building, a lot of the really extraordinary visuals, and some of the performances, especially from people like Javier Bardem and fucking what's his face,
Austin
Elvis, man. Thank you, Austin Butler.
Austin Butler was
like
fucking
I still,
awesome in it.
Yeah, he
I
killed
still remember the Getty Prime scene where he's fighting in that big black
That
and
was
white
beautiful.
gladiator match. That was an incredible scene. I thought that was awesome. I just think that I really enjoyed it, but I think what holds this film back for me are just things that I don't really know how to describe it, because it's been a while since I've seen the movie. I think at the end of the day, some of the action scenes got super mindless. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the scene where they shoot rocket launchers at the giant ship thing. I wasn't a huge fan of that. A lot
Oh,
of
where
the
they
setup.
fight against the ornithopter? That scene, or the helicopter
I think
scene
so.
where
They
have
were
to get through
shooting
the shield?
rocket launchers at. Yeah, they were
Where
shooting
him and
rocket launchers
Zendaya
at
are
something. I don't.
going on some mission
Oh,
to
I thought that was such
shoot
a
rockets and
sick
shit.
action sequence. I don't know. I thought that was really creative and
I don't
just
really,
like very
yeah.
engaging.
I didn't really care too much for that, but but there were some action scenes that I did really, really like. Like I said, the gladiator match.
Yeah.
I really liked the final fight between Paul and
Fade Rotha.
Fade Routha, yeah. But then there were just some other parts where I'm like, are you really just gonna set this up for the next movie and not have this resolved? Like the whole Anya Taylor-Joy is the baby inside lady from Mission Impossible. Like, are we really gonna do this? Like
It's
things
better
like
off
that
that
were
they
kind of
didn't.
my nose.
Do you
Yeah,
remember how
Okay, yeah.
how Lynch handled that? It was a fucking mess, dude. Might as well just
That's
have
fair.
yeah, just
That's
have
fair.
fucking Anya Taylor-Joy be herself in the next one, and that'll be fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you guys think they're gonna
Yeah.
do like old age makeup on Tim Cham?
I don't. Maybe
Probably.
he's supposed to be like 35, I think, in Dune
Okay.
Messiah. So I don't
It
think he
depends
needs
how
to
long
be
they
that
take
much
to do
older.
it.
I mean, they're filming it next year, I think.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I personally, I love this movie. I thought it was beautiful visually. I thought it was thought-provoking in a way that most blockbuster movies aren't. I think Paul Atreides is a fascinating character. I think Timothée Chalamet was great in the role. Zendaya, I think we talked about this. She's not my favorite part of the movie, but I think this was probably my favorite performance I've seen from her. I'm pretty sure. I thought, yeah, all the bit players were amazing. I mean, generally, my favorite thing about the first Dune book and the first two films in Villeneuve's saga is I made a video about it, but the way it kind of like deconstructs the Chosen One myth, the Chosen One trope, that Paul Atreides is the Chosen One basically only because of this like fucked up eugenic breeding program done by these.
They manufactured a prophecy figure.
Yeah, and then the way that's used against the native population to basically work against their own best interests eventually, which is really kind of tragic and heartbreaking. But yeah, I think Dune I think it'll go down if he sticks landing with the third one. I think it'll go down as one of the, if not the best, like sci-fi trilogy of all time, probably.
Absolutely.
In my opinion. I think it's an amazing
So my biggest problem is I've read the first 3 books. And like knowing what's coming next in the next part of the series, I just don't care. Like they didn't set me up to give a fuck.
You're
Like,
not excited for
should
Messiah?
I spoil anything? Like I don't know if I should. Okay, I won't spoil anything.
Messiah.
But like they
I
need
haven't
to
read
spend a lot
Messiah.
of.
Don't
Awesome.
spoil anything for
They
me.
need to spend a lot of the time. They needed to spend a lot of the time that they spent on like beautiful visuals and action scenes on developing Paul as a character. So whenever what happens, I actually care because
I think he's super fascinating.
Yeah,
and
he's
really
developed
well
really well. What are you missing in terms of his character development?
emotions.
I think he had a ton of emotions, and it's also the kind of the point that it's an inverse of that, where the final 30 minutes where he does take that dive and he becomes essentially this detached being that sees time.
I saw him as
single
detached the entire fucking both of the movies. I didn't see much react. Like the only time I saw him like react was like the scene with him being sad about Duncan Idaho dying.
Dude,
And
if you knew what was going to happen right before it happened in like every major crossroads of your life, maybe you would seem detached too. That's kind of the thing about Paul. Like he can see everything that's going to happen, especially once he takes that the blue worm urine or
Piss.
whatever he drinks.
I guess so.
Yeah, he can
guess
he can see it all before it happens. So he's like, of course he's going to be fucking out of it.
I guess it's like one of those things where like whenever I'm reading a book, I can almost look at it as like more informational, and I can kind of just take it as in like this happens, it's kind of sick. But I just feel like I have more of an expectation to like feel something when I watch a movie, and I feel like maybe this just isn't my type of story. Like honestly, that's what it is. Like maybe on film, it's just not for me.
I mean, I don't know. For me, it's heartbreaking to watch. What is Javier Bardem's character's name? I haven't seen it in a while.
Stilgar.
Stilgar. Yeah, to watch Stilgar become someone who's fighting for his people. He befriends Paul and kind of takes him in. And at first, he's keeping him at a distance, and eventually they become friends. But over the course of the movie, you watch him go from that to a total like zealot, religious zealot, and eventually like working against the interests of his own people, which is fucking tragic.
Everything,
so sad.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when they made Javier Bardem's character this like mentor figure, but then he slowly becomes a follower and eventually this like religious follower who's just like, yes, hell yeah. What did they say? Lisa Al Gaib or
Lisa
something
Lisan
like
Al
that.
Gaib, yeah.
Lisa and Al Gaib, yeah, hell yeah. There's my man. Yeah, I thought that was an
Yeah.
interesting character arc he goes through.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the whole everything that happens is interesting. I can't connect to any of the characters enough to like care about what happens to them.
Yeah, I
feel.
mean that's kind of one of the main criticisms of the Dune book series, I think, is that it's kind of cold and detached. It's not
Yes.
necessarily as especially, you know, if we're going to go off your video, the comparison you made, like Lord of the Rings is a much more intimate story for sure. But Dune isn't really trying to be that. It's not interested in being that. But for what it is, I think it performs its function
I agree, and
flawlessly.
like I said, I feel like I had like a huge list of positives for the films. So it's like if you like any of those things, then like you're probably gonna like the movies.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard as well to compare Lord of the Rings to Dune because Lord of the Rings is. I think I always say Dune is to sci-fi what Lord of the Rings is to fantasy. But the difference being Lord of the Rings is a very basic narrative and thematic story about good versus evil, where Dune is
Yeah,
a very morally gray story about space politics and
I don't even think
eugenics.
I don't even think it's fair to compare the two, like, because they come from completely different perspectives. Like, the Lord of the Rings as a concept and the way that the lore is
But
established
you
is
could
inherently wrapped up in Catholicism. Like, Catholicism is the basic foundation
that
of
doesn't matter
the
though. If
entire
fantasy is
religious
fantasy,
system and
I could
point
have
of
made the same.
well, hold on, let me finish my point. It's like entirely wrapped up in Catholicism, the way like religion is organized and how like it's this conventional story between good versus evil. But Dune, the whole point is it's deconstruction. It's deconstructing the entire idea of religion, especially when you use religion as like a tool for military efforts and politics and gaining power and things like that. You know, because sorry, what the Paul, that was it. Yeah, Paul Atreides isn't meant to be this Frodo character that you can sympathize with and you can connect with and have this emotional journey on. He's very much this character who starts out as a traditional sci-fi fantasy protagonist, whatever, but then he slowly morphs into this detached, like, he's kind of
It
like
becomes a
Dr.
false
Manhattan,
idol.
where it's like, yeah, he's kind of like Dr. Manhattan, where he's like, he's so above humanity that, like, how can he possibly have any connection or human attachment to the characters
But
when he's this god that he's so, like, belovedly worshipped? You know, he's this all powerful being. And I think that's, like, the most interesting thing about the film. And that's really what I connect with more than anything. You know, action scenes are nice and visuals are nice, but, you know, it's that core emotional story that I really like above all else.
But I think when it comes down to it, like movies, like I could make the same comparison towards fucking Game of Thrones, or I could make the same comparison for Star Wars versus Dune. It doesn't matter what fantasy series it is. All of these things are about the characters that you connect with, and like even like as much as I fucking hate the like Snyder, or no, I don't hate as much as people shit talk the fucking Snyder Watchmen movies, right? Like they basically set up like Rorschach as the main character. They toned down his like sociopathy to make him a relatable character, and I think they did that to make the ending hit harder. And with what's going to happen to Paul's character, okay, you can disagree with me all you want. It's fine.
Yeah, that's
But
not
like,
word. Yeah, I know.
but like, but like, but like the reason he did that, regardless of whether it worked for you or not, is so whenever fucking Dr. Manhattan snaps his fingers and Rorschach dies, I actually care that he died, right? And that's similar to like Dune. In my opinion, they needed to make small changes to the story to make me actually care about what happens to these people.
Well, the thing with
And
Paul is like Paul has a couple different conflicts going on because as soon as he starts ingesting spice, he realizes that he has this prescient ability where he can see events before they happen, and he understands as soon as he meets up with the Fremen that if he keeps on going along that path because of what the Bene Gesserit laid before him, the tracks of the Lisan al Gaib prophecy, he can utilize that to get revenge against the Harkonnens for his father's death. So he has this conflict in him the entire time. Like basically the only way that he knows for sure he can avoid the jihad that's going to happen in his name is to leave the planet entirely. But his need for revenge because they killed Leto is too great. So he's like, no, I fuck that. I don't care how many people die. I'm going to kill the Harkonnens no matter what happens. Like that's basically Paul's internal struggle. And I guess they could have elaborated on that a little bit more, but I kind of like it being
I think
left
they gave
unsaid.
it enough. Yeah, I mean, he even like blatantly says it. He's like, if I go south, I see a war in my name, and I don't know how to feel about that. Like, so many people are going to die if I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it just wasn't my cup of tea. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So then, who's next for their three?
I think it's me or you. You or me. Did you already go?
I didn't go yet. So yeah.
It's Culture Nick.
This is gonna be another contentious one. Long Legs is my number 3 movie of the year.
I thought you didn't like Long Legs.
I loved it. You guys both hated it.
Oh, I didn't hate it. I thought it was kind of boring.
No, I loved it. I thought it was the twist was cool. I thought Nicolas Cage was amazing. I thought the cinematography was amazing. Even the main character's performance was kind of subdued in a really cool way. I thought the ending scene was really climactic to me and cool. I loved how just like Nicolas Cage teeters on the edge of being hilarious and fucking terrifying in this movie. I really appreciated that. I like the twist with her mom. I thought was interesting that she was working with Nicolas Cage was really cool. All around just thought this movie was great.
Did you guys do an episode on this?
What?
No.
Did you guys talk about this on the app at all?
It came up like once or twice.
I feel like we did. Right?
I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it when we talked about it. I hadn't watched it yet.
Honestly,
I thought Nicolas Cage's performance was good. I just thought the police work itself was very dicey to me. It like kind of felt very like contrived for the plot. It felt kind of weird. And then it also just moved really slow.
When the fuck did you graduate from the academy?
Apparently it's
I'm gonna be honest. This movie is so forgettable that I've literally forgotten everything about the film. I can't even make interesting points about the film because the movie went 1 year in, the other year out. It's such a nothing, forgettable, boring, shitty, generic horror movie that if you've ever seen a horror movie ever in your life, then you've seen all of Long Legs before ever in your life.
That is such
the
bullshit.
First two here's what I remember. I remember the first 2/3 of the movie being incredibly boring, and then the last third of the movie being unintentionally hilarious. I remember all the really funny barnyard level shit that happens that I was just like, come the fuck on. You can't, there's no way this shit is happening. Like you were talking about how like Nicolas Cage was good in the movie. I thought Nicolas Cage was good in the sense that his performance reminded me of his performance in shit like, I don't know,
Mandy,
Wicker Man or Vampire's Kiss or something like that. I was like laughing at literally everything Nicolas Cage was saying or doing because it was just the most unintentionally hilarious. Like there was nothing about his performance that was scary to me. I was laughing literally everything that he did. And then like the whole twist ending where it's like, oh, actually my mom was a crazy devil worshiper too, and I'm like, wow, crazy.
That's not even what the twist was, but all right.
There's something like that. Like I said, the movie went 1 year in, the other year out. I've forgotten like everything about the movie, but I just remember the twist ending just being like, oh, okay, cool, great, whatever.
She wasn't a devil worshiper. She wasn't a devil worshiper too. She was basically blackmailed into working with him.
She helped Nicolas Cage do his pranking, do his schemes and stuff.
Because she had to protect her daughter from him.
Yeah. What do you think, Gulif?
I was so fucking hyped when this movie was coming out. I loved all the marketing. I think they wouldn't even put out trailers. They would just put out like clips that were titled like
legs.
Their legs or something like that, or just like just weird, very vague stuff. And the entire clip would be like 20-30 seconds of like a family's photo zooming in while it's a 911 call, and I'm like, this is super interesting.
Yeah.
I loved all that.
I liked how,
and I was like, I was just super interested by the marketing, which might have hurt me in the end because I went in and I was like, oh well, the marketing feels like a very different film that it was pitching than this, because I don't know, I kind of felt like it needed to pick a lane, because when it started it was like vaguely supernatural, and then it felt like it could have been a Zodiac type movie, but and then it just, I don't know, it feels like it was struggling to fully commit to one. Like, are we going to have supernatural ghost stuff, or is it going to be just a straight up procedural
Police procedural.
horror crime film?
That was baked
Yeah.
into the concept. I think I listened to an interview with Oz Perkins, and he was like, "What if we did something like Silence of the Lambs, but it was a supernatural vibe, or the
Or like
presence
True
or villain
Detective
was
type
supernatural." Yeah, something
I don't know.
something like that.
It's funny you mentioned that because I haven't seen Silence of the Lambs, but I've seen Manhunter, the Michael Mann film, and I feel like that's basically what this movie was trying to go for, but significantly better.
I'd actually kind of
it's
agree
not
with that.
it's not supernatural, but it's kind of the same thing where it's like, oh, cop that's deranged and crazy is going after a spooky killer who's doing some horror killing shit. So, but where Manhunter succeeds that this movie fails is that, for starters, the actual both horror, quote unquote, I don't really consider Manhunter a horror film, but like the police procedural aspects are really interesting. The performances are really great, and like there's this really cool, like Michael Mann's really good with visuals, so there's this like really cool
So
color
is Oz
palette,
Perkins. He's excellent with
none
visuals.
of that was in the movie. It was the
It
most
was all-
blandest
the
looking
visuals were
film
great,
ever.
you
It was
know? I think
so
the movie
boring
looked
to
good.
look at. There was
I
there was
disagree.
I don't think
nothing
the movie was
interesting
boring to look at
visually
at
to
all.
look
It
at.
fucking looked amazing.
They,
it was
they
incredible.
actually had, see, there was
Like,
you
it
could
was
clearly
like-
see they had an idea,
There
While
were
because
this
some
there's that
interesting
shot where,
shots.
While
There were
this
some
movie wasn't
interesting
for me,
cinema.
I
Sorry, go ahead.
definitely no. I was saying while this movie definitely wasn't for me, I was thinking like I'll go check out this director's next movie because it did look really cool.
Yeah, I could never say that this movie didn't look good. I think it looked visually pretty fucking cool. There was like that specific shot where I think it was in the first 30 minutes where she I forgot the main character's name, where she's talking on the phone with her mom, and you get that shot of like going at the front of the police station. It's like pitch black outside, and then it heads up the stairs, and then it's like this blinding light coming down from the stairs while she's like conflicted, talking to her mom about how she needs to be praying and stuff. I don't know. There's like clearly you can't
even
say there
made
was like
scenes of
fucking
them-
yeah.
And it even made scenes of them like driving around look nice. Like it was.
Like I
entertaining to
said,
the
watch.
scene,
the
the
movie-
scene where
the mo-
the interrogation scene when Nicolas Cage first meets the main FBI protagonist I thought was really well done. And also another thing that you guys are talking about that is baked into the concept, which you can like it or not, but this is why he wanted Nicolas Cage to almost be someone that you can make fun of, because Oz Perkins said that he was tired of seeing these serial killer movies that make these villains out to be these tortured geniuses, like effectively people that like Kevin Spacey in Seven, or even like the Zodiac killer.
Jeffrey Dahmer, he's so
Were they,
hot,
like,
guys.
super geniuses.
Yeah, like he wanted to make something where it would be impossible for people that are actually serial killers to look and idolize this person, and to show them how they probably are, like these fucking incel weirdos. I mean, Nicolas Cage, I thought it was funny that he got attached to the like 1970s satanic rock or whatever, so he was always singing like that. I really like that about the movie. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like David Fincher in part kind of popularized this genre where now in pop culture, serial killers, in true crime too, serial killers are feared and people hate them, but they also respect them with this kind of the silent reverence, like, oh, they're these tortured geniuses actually, even though they fucking are terrible people who kill people who should deserve no respect. And I think making a movie like this is kind of a nice subversion.
I don't know. I'm glad you mentioned David Fincher and whoever said Zodiac. I think it was Ethan who mentioned Zodiac, because like Zodiac isn't a horror film, but it's more effective in presenting scenes of terror better than this fucking film can. Because part of what I really love about Zodiac is that it is a police procedural. It's an investigation story, but the parts that are just terrifying are just scenes that don't need to rely on shitty, like, high-octane music to sell these moments of fear. Like, I really loved that scene where spoilers for Zodiac, where a woman and her child gets into the car and she doesn't realize it's the Zodiac killer, but the Zodiac killer is like, I'm gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna kill your baby or whatever. And like, it's this like incredibly tense moment, and the lighting also blocks out the Zodiac's like face. You don't know what the killer looks like, and it's so effective in constructing scenes of terror in a movie that's not even a horror film. And then you have something like this where I guess conceptually they do a good job setting up scenes of horror. They introduce spooky elements, but it just doesn't go anywhere in any direction that I find interesting or scary or even compelling. It's just, I don't know, some police shit happens and then some satanic shit happens and the movie's over. Like I said, I wish I can say more and go into more details. Like, I wish I could explain why I got nothing out of the film visually if I don't even remember a lot from the movie anyway. So I will. Okay, that's there is one shot that I do remember. I remember the way the camera moves while Michael Monroe's character is like running around the house because she thinks Nicolas Cage's character is nearby the house or something like that, or in the house. I don't remember if that was a scene, but I remember the way the camera moves in that sequence. I thought, okay, that's pretty impressive. I'll give it that. But yeah, I didn't have any high expectations. It was about what I expected. I watched what the fuck was that movie called? The Blackcoat's Daughter or something like that. I
Yeah.
watched that before I watched Long Legs to prepare myself because I had never seen an Oz Perkins film before, and both of those movies were so boring and so forgettable that I don't remember anything from either experiences. So sorry, Jesus, sorry. You guys seem to love it / enjoy it. That's fine. That's great. Don't let me ruin your party. I'm a Debbie Downer.
None of us
say I
really
didn't
said
like
anything
it.
that good about it except Nick. I mean,
no, yeah, Culture Nick clearly likes it. I gave it like a 5 out of 10, but I can clearly like appreciate. I think it looks great. I think there are some really cool ideas. My thing, like everything is like a half positive for me. I'm like, it looks great, but or
and
like
even though
the
he got a
story is
good performance
interesting,
out of
but
all
I
his
kind of
actors too.
yeah. I do
I mean-
think the performances were good. My main issue with Nicolas Cage, I saw it with my siblings, and they were like, "It shouldn't have been Nicolas Cage," and I was like, "Nah, I totally disagree." I think honestly, I would have rather just not seen Nicolas Cage's face like fully in frame. Like the opening scene where he's talking to the main character, and you just only get like his nose down, and I was like, "This is kind of eerie." I know it's Nick Cage, but
That was
this is very
incredibly
interesting.
effective, that scene.
Yeah, I wish they just never showed his full face on screen. I wish whenever you saw him, the frame was just ajar. I think that would have been more effective to me because as soon as you see him, I'm like, oh yeah, there's Nick Cage.
Yeah, I
But-
can see that. I mean, I understand
what's-
why people don't like it. I love this movie. I love all of Oz Perkins' movies. Actually, I think he's a great director.
So my
You know what's
number
funny?
3.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry, one thing. So here it really shows my feelings for the film. The movie was so forgettable. I forgot to add it to my 2024 ranked movies list after I rated it. So I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, yeah. VHS Nick, go ahead.
So my number 3 is one that I've kind of talked shit about already this year in one of our episodes, The Substance, which
That's my fucking number one shit.
So
that is
honestly,
also my number one.
As much shit talk as I've talked about this movie, it is a very memorable movie, and I think it did a lot of things I really, really enjoyed. So, I mean, it was super, super nice to look at. All the performances were awesome. It was just really, really fun movie. And as much as I think they like fucking were hammering that message into my head over and over and over and over again, and the last bit of the movie was a bit unnecessary for me, I still am going to probably rewatch this movie quite a few times, and I really liked it.
I
wish
really
I got a
loved the
chance
last
to
20
watch
minutes.
it before we did this.
Okay,
I haven't
we're
seen
not
it
going to
yet.
spoil. Yeah, we're not going to spoil.
Yeah, don't
anything,
spoil
Don't
anything.
worry. Yeah. You mentioned that they hammer home the message over and over again, but I don't know. It's like the point. It's not a very subtle movie. It's very explicit. It's very in your face about what it's going for and what it is. I had a very cathartic experience with this film. I went to go see it like in between movies at New York Film Festival, and I was like, "Oh, The Substance." I've heard a lot of great things about it, and I can't explain why, but I just had the biggest smile on my face because this movie is just for me. This is exactly what I love. I love body horror. I love campy, over the top, dark humor. I love insane, crazy performances from actors. I really love really sick and visually impressive camera movements. I love, I love how bold and unafraid it is to just present all of these crazy moments and just fully commit. Because I my main concern with a movie like this is that, like it would do something, like it would just be weird for the sake of weird. Like it just hammers home how fucking weird and crazy it is, but like there's no point or substance to it. And what I love about this
Pun.
movie, yeah, is, I mean, other than I had, oh wait, sorry.
You just said
Never mind.
you just said there's a pun.
You said there's substance to this, and I said pun. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. Haha, he said it. Family Guy. Yeah, yeah, it's like oh my god, I trying to.
Sorry, I really fucked you. Fucked you up
No,
right
no,
there.
it's
Sorry.
fine. I don't. I is okay. Let me start from. Let me restart my point somewhere. It just goes hog wild. Like it's an incredibly maximalist, over the top, just in your face, campy, gory, bloody good time. I don't know. It's a movie made for people like myself. I like freaks. I like freaky things. I like weird shit, and this is exactly what I want. The performances are just incredible. The gore in particular is really, really impressive. Like there were a lot of moments where I just went, "How did you pull that off?" Like I would love to
Yeah.
watch like a behind the scenes footage, video, whatever, just kind of going into like some of the behind the scenes, how they pulled off some of the gore effects and some of the special effects in the film.
I
Like
want to know how did they make Dennis Quaid look so disgusting while he was eating lobster?
They just filmed him
it's
on his
simple.
breaks.
Just yeah, just film him when he's not looking, and Dennis Quaid will be like, "Wait, we're on a movie? I thought I was just being myself."
I was just being
and it's
disgusting.
crazy. Yeah, and it's crazy because Dennis Quaid is grosser than anything that happens in this entire movie.
Yeah, that made me feel fucking nauseous every time they showed his. Because every time he eats, it's like up close in his mouth, and he's like just like mushing shrimp into his gums. It's disgusting.
Yeah, his character is somehow less evil than his character Reagan from Reagan.
Yeah, I fucking love this movie. I was like, I've been waiting to watch this one because I don't know, I haven't watched enough body horror, and I've heard everyone's just saying body horror's back, baby.
Check out Titan.
Titan.
10 is amazing too. Yeah.
You both said it like two fucking different ways, so
It's pronounced to 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Titan.
But yeah, no, I fucking loved it. I really like Demi Moore. I'm not familiar with her, but this was a very honestly a very brave role to take, especially considering the subject matter and the themes of the movie itself. But like her and Margaret Qualley they're naked for like 40% of this movie.
Lots of ass shots.
There's a lot of butt shots, and there's just and the makeup is just incredible. Without getting spoilers, just like the final third, the fucking makeup goes hard, dude.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that I could see, like, Demi Moore is amazing, incredible, gives one of the best performances of the year. I hope to God she gets nominated for some Oscars, but probably not because it's a horror movie. But
yeah, they don't like horror movies.
No.
Yeah, her performance.
Get nominated for Best Picture.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was a real crime. Her performance in this film kind of reminded me of Michael Keaton's character from Birdman, where you can kind of see like elements of their real life like injected into their character. Like maybe they're not having such struggles to the extreme that their characters are experiencing in their respective films, but you can see like elements of their real life bleed into the character, and it has that like sense of familiarity to them where like they can really give this like bombastic, very energetic performance that you haven't really seen them in like any other movie. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Demi Moore either. I haven't really seen her in other stuff.
Demi Moore's not an amazing actress, so like the fact that she did so well in this, I think there has to be some truth in that.
Well, you don't like Ghost?
That or just the director is really good, because like the directing is also incredible as well. Like there were every single shot in this film I remember distinctly. This is such a gorgeous looking film, like not just the way scenes are presented, not just like the color, but like the lighting as well, and the way that certain gore effects would just go on, making you really squeamish. It's like a fun kind of squeamish uncomfortable, if that makes sense. Like the when violence in this happens, it just hits you like a fucking truck, and I couldn't ask for anything else in the world. It's so fun, but so effective as well.
This is you guys should like, for anyone that hasn't seen it, just eat like a full plate of like rotisserie chicken, and then sit down.
Cocktail shrimp.
Cocktail shrimp. drink a bunch of alcohol. Honestly, this is just a fun group movie. I saw this with my wife and her dad. My wife was facing away from the screen the whole time because she doesn't like horror or gore. But me and her entire reaction to this movie was us going, "Oh my god! Oh god!"
Super fun.
You should definitely eat dinner while watching this movie for sure.
Yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
my number one. That's my favorite movie of the year so far. I haven't seen enough, but that's it. It's up there.
Yeah, it's also my number one. Stealer, copier. No, just kidding.
So
Does anyone else have? Yeah,
my next two are just ones that we've already talked about: Nosferatu and Dune 2.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah, does
Okay,
anyone else have
cool.
any other stuff?
My
in their
number
top
one hasn't
two or
been
one?
touched. But
Yeah,
what's
throw it in there. Bro.
Tim's probably has a. Wait, what's your number two, Tim?
My number two is Memoir of a Snail, directed by Adam Elliott.
Talk about
Yeah,
it.
hit us.
Has anyone else seen it?
no,
Yeah,
I have not seen it.
It's stop motion animated. It's 90 minutes. It's a breeze. I got to see this one very, very early. So here's a fun fact. I guess I got to see this movie early enough, and it wasn't getting enough coverage. So I made a dumb review thing on Letterboxd, and I didn't think much of it. And then my friend sent me a message saying, "Hey, did you know that IFC or whichever production company was in charge of distributing the movie, did you know that they posted your review on their Instagram page?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" So
Oh.
I took a look. I'll send it in the group chat later. But they apparently just posted my review on their Instagram as part of their marketing on Instagram. And I was like, "This is kind of cool. This is interesting. I wasn't aware of this. That's really nice. That's really
awesome.
awesome." But
That's
yeah.
cool.
Have you guys seen Mary and Max, the Adam Elliott's previous movie?
No, I've heard about it though.
I have seen it. It's really good.
Yeah. If you like Mary and Max, then it's kind of the same experience, but also not. It's a bit hard to explain. Like Mary and Max had a lot of dark and depressing moments for sure, but it still had that like upbeat, like cartoony tone to it that made everything very light and fun and entertaining to watch. I mean, there were still a lot of dark, depressing moments, but overall, it's very light. This one is much more depressing. It's very much a film about characters who are just thrown into the fucking worst that life has to offer. There's this really great line that Sarah Snook's character, fucking what's her face, Gracie, that was it. She's the main character. She talks about how she always has to look at life as a glass half full or something like that, like trying to see the positive side of life, trying to overcome life struggles, because this film, it puts his characters in a lot of dark and upsetting and depressing situations, and they go through a lot of like terrible life struggles and transformations, and eventually, because it's a movie, they'll learn how to overcome these things, but it's still just a really just nonstop emotional experience. I was really, really connecting with a lot of what the movie was offering. I don't usually cry in movies, and I still didn't. I still don't. I didn't really, but this one got close. I was like kind of tearing up a little bit, like I was choking up a little bit. I was like, "Oh God, I'm really feeling the emotion. Like I'm really, really picking up everything this film is giving me." I still prefer Mary and Max over this one. I still think Mary and Max is the better film, but this one is still a really incredible film that not a lot of people have seen. Like it was only in theaters for like what, like a fucking day or two or some shit before it went away, and even then it wasn't in a lot of theaters. Like it's crazy that it was premiering in a theater near me, especially an early screening, and I think I was only like one of 5 people who showed up for the early screening. So but yeah, I think it's on digital now. I don't know if it's on a streaming service. You might need to rent it or something like that. But yeah, it's an incredible, incredible film. And yeah, I'll watch it again soon. It was quite lovely.
awesome.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll definitely add that to the list.
All that's
What-
left. I mean, Nosferatu is my number two, which we already talked about. But my number one was Anora, which I'm just a huge Sean Baker stan, and this movie was really good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think him actually hiring a lot of the like Russian actors for all the characters, they all did a really good job. Just really well shot, really well directed, really emotional. I think I wouldn't expect me to like be a big fan of like all of his movies since they're all like focused around sex workers, but like I don't know, it was just super fucking good. And what's her face from fucking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, flamethrower chick? She was super fucking good in it.
Mikey Madison.
Yeah, she was
She was
excellent.
also in Scream. I think.
Oh yeah, I think
like
she
a couple
was.
years or a
And
few years
Five
ago.
Cream. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I only watched. I took my sweet ass time watching it. I only watched it like 2 days ago. But like, I don't know. They fucking get me in the feels every time. These fucking movies. His movies are so goddamn good.
Yeah, I really wanted to see this one before we talked about
Same.
it, but well, whatever. You don't have to watch all the 2024 movies
It's hard
in 2024.
It's hard to watch every movie that comes out in a year. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
I'll be better
We
about
probably
it.
watch
Yeah.
more than most
As
because
Keeping
we
a list
do
will
a
make it
podcast.
easier.
As I watch so much shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, at least I didn't fucking watch Madam Web.
Yeah, the real cinema. Yeah, I really quite enjoyed Honora. I think it's in my top 10. Yeah, it's like number 7 or 8 or something. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I saw it twice. I saw it at New York Film Festival, and then I saw it again once it got a wide release. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think my score went down a little bit like in the second watch because I saw more of the flaws and issues I had with the film. Because before I was kind of hyped up in a film festival like environment. I was kind of in the hype. I was really just going along with everyone else. But now that I'm seeing it with fresh eyes, it's still not a bad movie or anything. I really enjoyed it. I gave it like an 8 out of 10. But
I wouldn't even say it's my
I think
favorite Sean Baker movie, but
I think for me it is. I'll probably need to rewatch Red Rocket because I gave that a similar score and I quite liked that as well. And I haven't seen Tangerine. I'll probably get to that at some point. But yeah, like you said, it manages to do both the funny haha comedy bits, but also the super dramatic bits at like honestly within the same scene as well. Like I love how Sean Baker can balance both tones within his films. And like you said, I really like Sean Baker's more authentic and honest portrayal of these types of people. Because like when you think about a movie about, stripper who falls in love with rich man, you think Pretty Woman or some shit. Um, and I love how it kind of plays around with those conventions where it's like, okay, this isn't a fucking fairy tale. This is real life. This is what would actually happen if something like this were to happen. And this tends to. I mean, I don't know how often this happens, but it's not an uncommon thing for like a rich person to pick up a poor woman off the streets and shit like that. So
I like that
it
all
was
of his
really
all of his
interesting.
movies are like things that could actually happen. It doesn't feel like you're like stepping so far out of reality. Yet they're still riveting and interesting.
His movies are very, very American. They explore like the part of American culture and society that isn't talked about often, whether it be movies or just any form of medium in general. And I think that's a really cool and interesting perspective that Sean Baker can give that I just don't see a lot in a lot of other directors or movies and stuff.
All right, guys. I mean, we got through all our lists. You want to wrap it up? Does anyone have
real quick? Does anyone have any like honorable bad movies that we saw this year? Like worst shit.
Honorable bad movies?
Yeah, honorably bad.
Dishonorable mentions.
Yeah, dishonorable mentions.
Where the fuck
because
did I
didn't
start?
mention any of my bottom 5.
I don't know, man.
Craven.
I did actually have 5 that were the worst ones. No one else saw this because I'm probably the only person on the planet that saw this. Was the new Hellboy movie that came out this year. Not good. It's fucking waste of time. Craven the Hunter, another waste of time. Did anyone watch Night Swim?
I did watch Night Swim.
It's a movie about a pool that kills you. It's really bad.
That movie fucking sucked ass. I mean, Joker's an obvious honorable mention there.
Oh yeah.
Didn't see it, so I'm safe.
I think Roadhouse, but I've honestly forgotten everything about Roadhouse.
Was pretty fucking terrible.
Did anyone here see Damsel that was on Netflix with Millie Bobby Brown?
No.
It's so bad.
I finally got around to. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just fucking horrible. Go ahead.
I finally got around to Megalopolis. That shit fucking licked asshole.
It was hilarious. I feel like I'm the only one that has that perspective, but I thought Megalopolis
It was funny.
was funny.
It was funny bad. Barnyard, whatever. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Barnyard. Get in the
Barnyard,
comments.
whatever.
Start the trend.
it was.
Yeah, what?
It was,
Oh, okay, all right. I gotta just say it now because it just popped in my head. The hate to interrupt, Barnyard movie of the year. Who gets the award?
I would say Craven.
I go
Over
Joker.
Madam Web?
That's not necessarily Barnyard, is it?
I vote
No,
Joker.
it's got to
man.
be like
Well,
stupid.
Barnyard
fucking
is
Oh,
like
Barnyard.
funny
Oh,
bad.
Joker's
it's
not
like
Barnyard.
it's like no, Joker's not Barn. If we're gonna
It
talk
has to be
about
Madam Web.
Barnyard,
It has to be Madam Web. Oh no,
I
but
think
Nick
so,
actually
too.
liked it.
I would give it to Madam Web. I would say if we have a annual Barnyard level Oscar award, whatever, then I would give it to Madam Web.
I
And
think
actually,
I'd say Madam Web.
you know what? Chris Stuckman's favorite movie of the year was Long Legs.
Is it actually?
No.
Damn.
Really?
All right.
Oh.
Well, fuck, I guess we all have to change our
You said
opinions.
no. You shook your
Actually,
head
Long
no.
Nights is
No,
fucking
it's not.
masterpiece.
It's Hundreds of Beavers. Have we even
I've
heard of this?
this is great.
I've been
heard
meaning
good
to
things
watch
about
that. Yeah, it's on my watch list.
Oh, you know what movie
Huh.
I fucking watched that was really fucking bad? Tarot
Tarot.
on Netflix.
I heard that was
Whatever.
hilarious.
Tarot.
It was so goddamn bad. Am I just? Is
Tarot?
that my thing? Is that my Barnyard? I just mispronounced something.
You do that
Did
all
you
the
say
time.
carrot?
I just watched Dune by Dennis Villeneuve, guys.
Dinas.
That's why I
Venus.
pre-record my videos, guys. Come on.
Dinas.
Dinas Villeneuve.
Okay, I have a bunch of 1 out of 10 movies that I've given. Okay, plus Kung Fu Panda 4, because fuck that film. What a
forgot
gigantic
that came
piece of
out.
fucking
I'm
trash.
sure it was great.
I hated that
I'm
film.
sure it was great.
Okay. But I will give you all the 1 out of 10s I've given this year, which is Madam Web, Megalopolis, Night Swim, Craven Some Dick, The Garfield Movie, The Tiger's Apprentice, Rebel Moon Part whatever, Unfrosted, Borderlands, Red One, Lift, and The Crow.
Damn.
Cool. Just to shout out real quick, an honorable mention of mine, which it probably wouldn't even be in the top 10, but a movie that got a lot of hate that I think actually deserved a closer look was and Alex Garland's Civil War. I feel like people expected it to be something that it never had any intention of being, and maybe if you gave it another look as just what it wants to be instead of what you want it to be, you might like it more.
It felt like a Purge movie to me. Like it wasn't terrible, but it was like they should have named it something else, man.
Yeah, that was a
I
marketing
felt like-
gimmick for sure.
Either name it something else or actually commit to what the fuck you're filming. Because what I hated about the film is just how surface level and how it has absolutely nothing interesting or unique to say about either American political culture or just, the fall of democracies in a lot of Western European countries in general. I think that would have been an interesting point to make, but it doesn't say anything about any of those things. It's just, yo, bro, they shoot guns and shit. And just okay, great, cool.
Well,
Thanks, Alex.
it could have been about any war, like it being a war in America, a civil war in America. Like it didn't really play into the plot as much as I think most people wanted it to. It ended up just being about how photojournalists get dehumanized after being close to war zones. Which who the fuck would have expected that?
It was just clickbait, but nobody would have gone to see it for what it was. So I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys have a list of movies that you want to see but you haven't got a chance to see? Because I have a list of things that I need to watch that'll try my damnest to get to. I saw the TV
this
Glow
year specifically.
Yeah, 2024 movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I saw the TV Glow was one that I really want to watch. I heard Dee Dee was good. I'll probably watch that at some point. I heard surprisingly good things about Transformers 1. And my friend really wants me to watch Transformers 1, so I might watch it at some point. And I really want to watch The Apprentice, the Ali Abbasi Donald Trump movie. I heard that was good. So
what's the one about the monkey? The guy turns himself into a monkey. Yeah, I want to see that.
Oh, what?
Are you talking about Monkey Man, or are you talking about the biopic of a guy who is a monkey?
The Robbie Williams movie?
Yeah, I want to see that.
Oz Perkins has a
Yeah.
monkey movie coming out in February.
Monkey Paw.
The monkey.
Oh.
All right, well, yeah, let's close it out here, guys.
Long
Did it.
episode.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
If you guys
Yeah.
enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on your podcast listening to platform of your choice, being Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, go ahead and leave a like or a dislike, up to you. Thank you all for watching, and I guess we'll see you in 2025.
Bye, 2024.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Farewell,
Bye.
2024.